a blessing being able to finish the week here with you on the word of encouragement here on this Friday. And today I'd like to go to one of the most sacred scriptures, and that is the high priestly prayer of the Lord in John chapter 17. He's walking from the upper room with his disciples down the valley of Kidron over to the Mount of Olives. And there at the base of the Mount of Olives is the Garden of Gethsemane. And in this time, he begins to talk to the Lord. And I can't imagine how that impacted those disciples as they heard him pray directly to the Father. You've got to understand that Jewish people did not have that kind of concept, that you could have a personal prayer life. You could recite a lot of things, but to actually talk with God was something revolutionary. That's why the disciples earlier in the ministry of the Lord there after the Sermon on the Mount said, Lord, teach us to pray, because they wanted to know how to have that kind of relationship. Well, in that prayer, one of the verses that I am regularly encouraged by is verse 20. He says, neither pray I these for these alone, speaking of his disciples, but for them also which shall believe on me through their word. Well, that involves us. Because of the work of the apostles and the early church, we have now, of course, the church around the world, and every one of us that are saved, that are listening to me today, were saved through the witness and testimony of the apostles back in that day. And so that means that Jesus Christ specifically prays for us back there before he prayed in the Garden of Gethsemane, with the cross looming ahead, with all that he was going to face on him. His burden is that God the Father would bless his disciples and every one of us. Just think about that. Jesus prayed for you before he ever went to the cross. He prayed for you on the cross. And my friends, the Bible makes it clear he ever lives to make intercession for us. That is one of the most precious thoughts. I don't care how hard something may be that I'm having to go through. All I have to do is think about the fact that Jesus is interceding for me, that the Spirit is making intercession with groanings which cannot be uttered, and my heart is lifted. Because God knows how to pray. Within the Trinity, they're communicating about me and they're communicating about you, which means that God, the triune God, is working a mighty work on my behalf. Friends, God has not left you alone. If you are a believer, he is working all things together for good. He is wanting you to become like him. He's wanting you to be the testimony and the witness that you ought to be. He's wanting to mature you. And so he is working, and he hears every prayer. And Christ is praying on your behalf. The Spirit is praying on your behalf because we don't know how to pray as we ought. And so we cannot help but be encouraged when we think about the fact that we have a Savior who not only died for us, but is actively right now, as he did back there in John 17, praying specifically for our needs, my needs, and all believers. Individually, being God, he actually has an individual relationship with us. We don't fully understand that, but it's real. You know it if you've walked with God. So stay encouraged. Have a great weekend serving the Lord, knowing that Jesus is praying for you.